Now, traditionally now, whenever we have a meeting, we start with basically a moment's silence, reflecting on what this is for you. And then we invite you to put an element of your map, change your name to an element of your map. So do you know how to change a name? You click on your name. If you scroll down to the bottom, it has rename. So I can just put actually, can I just change that instruction? I think it would be really good just to put what's something you love about symbols in 3 words or less. And the other thing that's nice to do is to move the pictures around. So you have our guest coach here, or guest presenter. And I normally like to put them in the middle. Top middle, so it's easy to see them if we're in this view, if we're in the gallery view. Or when we move, until we get to you as a speaker, then we go to speaker view. So, okay? Resonate, magical nature, picture of meaning, feeling the image, inner representations, direct communication. Now, I love this. So I've done this with big and small groups. It just changes the energy instantly. Because you're not just another pretty face, you know. Mia's just going to join us. I'll let her join us first. Okay. So let's get into this, okay? And before that, I just apologize to you, Sig, for not knowing who you were.
That's okay. It's been a while.
Oh, it's only 20 years. I think I've almost known you that long, Uwe. Anyway, it's my great pleasure to introduce Uwe. And here's Mia.
Hi, Mia.
We'll just stop for one moment. Mia, welcome.
Hi.
And could you please?
Marty? I don't think, I can't
Sandra,
see any.
Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
And Sig.
Hi,
Hi.
Sig.
Sigmund. Yeah. So we're ready to go. So I'd like to just introduce Uwe, pronounced like Hoover, isn't it, without the H?
A mixture between a female sheep and a vacuum cleaner.
You.
That's you or the name?
Uwe.
Uwe.
Okay.
Uwe.
Yeah. Who's going to talk to us about symbols? And I met Uwe, goodness me, a long time ago, probably about the same time as I met you, Sig, who originally did his passion map with Charles Savage in Munich. And you know, have you met Charles, Mia? Maybe on the...
On Zoom.
On Zoom, yeah. And your original symbol for your map was underwater. Was it? What was it? Something underwater?
Yes, it was underwater barbecuing. Make the impossible possible, so to say. I love barbecuing. I like scuba diving. So that was it.
So yeah, I met met Uwe as the underwater barbecuist, and he's gone on to become a coach and start a new business and leave the heady world of corporate world in Germany, and lives his life halfway between Corfu and Berlin. And if that's not a good selection of places, I don't know what is. So I'll just go over to you. I think the best way to do this is, and anyone can just chime in. Yeah, just why don't you talk for say 20 minutes, and then we can just open this to a general conversation. Would that work for everybody? Okay, let's go. Over to you, Uwe.
Thanks very much, Peter. Indeed, yes, it's a long time ago we first met, and my life at that stage was in a change. I have left corporate business, as you said, and I got intrigued because Charles was also a member of a network in Germany where I had access to, and so we did things together. We talked together, and then he put you on the line and said, "Well, you have to talk to Peter Wohlman," and that's how we got into contact. And I'm still doing what I did in those days. That's profiling, behavioral profiling, and obviously passion mapping as coaching for individuals and groups within companies. Everybody who is interested can join my work or can work with me, and I have tremendous pleasure in it. And you know, when the question came up, what would be a theme to talk about in one of our community meetings, it wasn't for long that symbols came up my mind. At that stage, I have to say that I also lived 2.5 years in Australia, and over the last 10 years, I traveled to Australia a lot. I worked there also. And Australia for me is the country of symbols. I mean, you guys, well, a lot of you are in Australia, obviously. Zig is also from New South Wales, I remember that. You know, your country is full of symbols. It's so many symbols that you probably don't realize them anymore. One of the strongest symbols for me is not the Sydney Opera House, but it's the Harbour Bridge. You know, the coat hanger. Whenever I see a shape of that, I'm in Sydney. I am back there with my wife, no children then. My oldest daughter was born there. And in 83, actually, that was. So, you know, it's a very strong sign. I see it somewhere and it comes back to my mind. I use symbols also to explain to other people about our subconscious. For instance, coming back to this situation with Sydney, for me, when I talk about Sydney, I'm obviously very enthusiastic about it. And then some people might think, I should go there eventually. And then they forget about it. And then they cross the newspaper agent at the train station. And there are thousands of magazines. And then there's a National Geographic half covered, but you still can see a part of the Harbour Bridge. And I have told them, oh, Sydney is such a beautiful town. The opera, the Harbour Bridge. And this person will just walk by and turn the view to this half-covered picture of the Harbour Bridge. So that's our subconscious working for us. And our subconscious reacts to symbols. Well, I'll show you some very well-known symbols. Obviously, Christianity, Yin Yang, and this here's eternal life from the Celts. And this here is a note for music. Just a specific note. And this is a symbol of warning. Whenever we see something like this, we immediately have an impression. Well, this one is obvious. Danger, get out of here, or be careful. This one is very obvious. There's always good and always bad. There's black and white. There's yes, no, etc., etc. Everybody knows what it means and has an immediate subconscious response to it, as it is with the cross and other symbols. Of course, we have, well, there's tons of symbols. I don't want to bother you with all of them. There's only one thing on that sheet. There's no bad symbol. Well, take the swastika, for instance. The swastika is the sign, the symbol of the Nazis, of the very terrible times and whatsoever. But it originally comes from Indian symbolism. And even you find a similar sign in the northern Scandinavian languages and so on and so on. So there's many different things about symbols. But most important is when you know them, they will trigger something in you. And what can be triggered? That's up to you. That is up to, for instance, when you are coaching or when you are passion mapping with somebody, it is up to what you want to talk about with this person. Another thing, before we go into some symbols, just a very general thing. Behind me, you see a painting. And I said to Marty, you may call me shiphead because it's a ship. Now, this is a very, very strong symbol. And a lot of paintings we know, including the Mona Lisa in the Louvre and in other paintings, or Caspar David Friedrich, who painted ships always leaving harbor or coming back. There were stories in it. So, when you coach somebody and you talk about a ship, it could be the ship of their life or whatever. It could come outbound, outward bound, or outward bound. This is coming back, actually. It's not outward bound, but there's a little ship in the back, which is crossing. So you can put a lot of meaning into it. And then when this person tells you, well, okay, very interesting, but what do I do with it?
I think you're wrong.
Sorry? What do I do with it,
Sorry,
yes?
if anyone wants to talk, can you just put your hand up? You know where to put your hand up and reactions? Just quick reactions if you want it, if there's a burning question. Otherwise, we'll leave it till the end. And if you have a question, just put it in the chat. And a burning question, put your hand up.
Absolutely, no problem. I'm very happy if you react immediately or we talk about things, your question afterwards. No problem at all. What you can do then is draw a little ship, very simple sailboat, and make it the symbol for the person, like an anchor. I mean, Peter, you are using, or we are using, when we do passion maps also, we are using anchors so that people can remember a specific part of their map through an anchor. Whatever the anchor is, it can be a symbol. My symbol was the diver's okay sign, but with the left hand. And this is a symbol. It's a very clear symbol. So there are symbols everywhere in our life. And I would like to show you some symbols from our passion mapping sessions, where in the end, our map showed a symbol. So I just swap over. Well, here you have two passion maps. And they are very similar in one thing. They show a plant. So here's my personal passion map. Actually, that's the passion map after. This is my passion map of 11 years ago, where you have my barbecue coaching while scuba diving, you know. So you can see how I cannot. It's incredible. There's no concentration on nothing in it. It was a lot of okay. Anyway, I just wanted to show that. And this is my latest passion map. So you see much more structure. Now, don't look at what I've wrote in there, what my passions are and what I am. Just look at the symbol. It's a palm tree. And on the other side, that is our G18 passion map, which we did last year. And this, apart from what our passions are, symbolizes a sunflower. Sunflower and palm tree, both are symbols of, or both are plants. Now let's have a look at my symbol first here. When you see a palm tree, it's very simple. It's in 3-4 regions of meaning. At the bottom you have roots, which keep the tree in the ground and which nourish the tree with nourishment, with minerals and whatever is needed, with water coming from the ground. Very important. Then you have the stem. The palm tree stem is extremely elastic. You know, you have a hurricane blowing into that palm tree will survive. An oak tree may break after 800 years of growing, but a palm tree very seldom breaks. So you have a very strong foundation. You have a very flexible stem. Those are your activities. Those are your passions. That is what you are doing. And then you have obviously nourishment from the environment through the leaves, which is also a very strong symbol because you suck up what surrounds you. In this case, it's CO2 to develop O2, oxygen for the plant to be used. And last but not least, you have fruits. There are some fruits who will fall down and eventually grow another palm tree. So you have tons of symbols in a tree. In a palm tree, very specific ones of the flexibility. You can always talk about your client with your clients about such a symbol or symbolic meaning in a plant. Now let's move over to the sunflower. Basically, in the sunflower, you have a similar situation. You have the roots of what you are doing or what the flower, where the flower gets the nourishment from. You have a stem, which supports a huge flower on the top. Now, so what are the symbols in that one? Well, roots, same like here. The stem is a little bit different because the stem is fragile. A sunflower grows as high as necessary in order to face the sun. So if there are lots of sunflowers around this one sunflower, there is competition. So a sunflower can outgrow the competition, but then the stem will be weaker than it was before, and the danger of collapsing is higher. Especially when the stem is growing where your flower is not fully developed. Now imagine your stem is about 2 meters high, which could happen. And then you create an enormous flower on the top, a weight on the top, so the stem cannot support it anymore. So what can you learn from the symbolism of that? Well, there's another thing which I forgot to say. Here in the palm tree, I have some fruits, some coconuts or whatever they are. Here you have thousands, hundreds, let's say hundreds of seeds. This palm tree is my palm tree. It's me, it's one person. It's for one person. It's valid only for one person. But the sunflower is valid for many people, at least for those who were working at it and working for it. And we have no fruits, we have seeds. That's a difference. Here in the fruits, you have the seeds, but you have a limited number. Here, you have hundreds of seeds, which then will be spread in your environment. That's the difference between what comes out of a group work and what comes out of a single work, or what can come out of a single or group work. Another thing is, and when I talk about competition and symbolism, a sunflower is a wonderful symbol for competition, simply because there are so many. And if everyone tries to outgrow the neighbor, then they will all collapse. So they have to learn not to outgrow the neighbor, but to get into a communication to the neighbor and say, okay, let's grow together, but don't overdo it. And then just grow up and turn our faces to the sun. So the plants cannot communicate, at least we do not know how they communicate, if they communicate, but they do something together. Sometimes genetic technology in agriculture may help a little bit to keep them low, but from the principle of it, there is a communication in between those. And that is a further symbol. So you have tons of symbols just in one plant, sunflower. You have many symbols in another plant, which here is my palm tree. I would also like to show you, and I'm really looking forward to your comments on that, but I would also like to show you something which I'm also using from time to time. It's photographs of doors and windows. When you are working with a coachee or you're doing whatever, you have to explain something to somebody, which is the unknown. You know, a door is an extremely strong symbol. And I have not found, I have many door photos. There are also doors which are in ruins, in shambles and totally broken, but still there's a lot of symbol in that. I take this beautiful door here. You know, it's half open, so there's always a little bit of way inside behind. However, you cannot see what is behind. Two symbols already. Then, you know, the shape of it, the steps up to it, you can go up. It's your choice whether you want to go through the half open door or whether you want to open the door completely. Those are things you can discuss with your coachees or with your clients when it comes to it. And then, of course, there are also other doors. You know, there's something, see, it's the sign of the church. Here you have the cross, and then it's bombastic on the top of it. What does it mean? What is your feeling? You want to go to a church, both doors are closed, but it's still the sign of Christianity and it's surrounded by bombastic whatever architecture that is and signs there are. So when you walk around with open eyes and an open mind, you see tons of symbols. And as I said very earlier today, we shall not forget that the same reactions you can have for positive symbols or for mystic symbols, some people have for negative symbols. It's not only the swastika, it's the KKK, Ku Klux Klan in the US, where they have theories that Marlboro cigarettes are Ku Klux Klan supported because there are 4Ks on the pack. When you look at it, this is all symbolism. So it can be also very negative. Don't forget it. When you use symbolism in your daily work with your clients, with your friends, your family, make sure that the interpretation of it is very sound. It should come from the heart. They should explain what they see in it, and then you can use it and make it an anchor for them. Basically, that's all I wanted to say about symbols. I am absolutely looking forward to your stories about your symbols you have used in your life, you feel strong for. And please tell me, what is a symbol for you, or where has a symbol been very important in what you're doing in your life? Could anybody tell me?
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go.
Is it, this is just a thought I have, is the power of it the fact that it actually sort of unconsciously you connect that symbol with all the other parts of your memory that symbol evokes? So if you see the half door, for example, somewhere in your memory, there's all these half doors.
Yes.
So that evokes a cognitive activation, which in turn can activate an emotion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is, well, for me, it's my personal observation. You know, you walk through a little township, and obviously there are thousands of doors and windows and whatsoever, and you look at one and you do not understand why you have a funny feeling. It could be a very positive feeling, you don't know why or whatsoever. That is exactly what's happening, what you described, Peter. So that's the power of symbols. That's also that was also the power of the swastika in my German history way back. But that was exactly when people saw it, wow, here they went up and emotions came up. Unfortunately, to the result we all know, and well, fair enough.
But
yes,
in terms of what it was intended to do, it's brilliant, isn't it?
That's the point.
It's just the intention of the user of the symbol wasn't particularly uplifting.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you can see it, but in the corner of mine, if you go to speaker view while I'm talking, you can just see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a 4-leaf clover, which is evocative of my passion map, which is all about gratitude for being alive. It's a whole series of 4-leaf clovers. Yes. And at my age, it's pretty good to be alive. So it's so that's what that's about. But I'm absolutely stunned at how potent that feels. Yes. I didn't even know that this was being made up for me, but it's just so potent. And this is actually full of symbols. And I just feel so alive when I choose one. You know, it's anyway, I don't want to harp on that, but you know, it's really interesting bringing back that G8 or G9 experience. Was quite extraordinary, wasn't it, coming up with that? The symbol wanted to come up itself, didn't it? We didn't actually choose a symbol, it chose us.
Exactly.
And my four-leaf clovers sort of chose me, and Marty's got a, what's your symbol, Marty?
I have the 5-point Hira Shuriken. It's a weapon used by Japanese.
So that means watch
I
out for
remember
me.
that.
Watch out for me. Don't throw it at me.
Well, it's that one is made of steel, but Peter, yours again is a plant. Isn't it amazing? Again, it is a plant. It's only the well, we can talk about 2 hours about the symbol of the four-leaf clover. The point is you have to enjoy it when you find it, because it will wilt eventually. So keep it alive. That's the message for you, obviously. It is a plant. It has a limited life in itself. Symbols, if you nourish them well, then they keep their value for you. That's the message behind a plant symbol.
Yeah. Sue, can I ask you what your symbol is and what it means to you? You're muted, by the way.
On my passion map,
Yeah.
my whole passion map is in the
Yeah.
form of a giraffe.
Ah,
It's the only giraffe I've known of in probably 5,000 maps.
And
So
it
it's
all came about because the original one was like a watering hole, and I had a canal boat on it, and I had a giraffe, and the giraffe really spoke very loudly to me, and so it just made sense because of the nature of the elements on the map, that they fitted into the giraffe. So the two ears, one is me, because I always think I'm a good listener. The other is my husband, because he needs to learn to listen.
So
And then the two
this is
ossicles.
a shared giraffe, is it?
Yeah, the two ossicles are my children. Because they're,
Ossicle. What's an ossicle?
you know, the little
Oh, the
tufts they
thingies.
have
Yeah.
on the head in
Oh,
between
oh,
the
okay.
ears. They're called
Okay.
ossicles, the little
Oh,
bony
okay.
protrusions.
Okay.
And they're the bits that, you know, when a giraffe is born, they don't have any, and they're the bits that keep growing. They get bigger and bigger as the giraffe gets bigger. And so, you know, they symbolize the growth of the family. And then I've got the grandchild, being a mother, being a grandmother, and then going down the head, it's the different elements of my coaching life. And a giraffe's tongue is always purple, so that it doesn't get sunburned,
oh.
because they use their tongue like we use our hands. So if they want to eat, they've got to use their tongue. And so the tongue area is the talking elements, and, you know, the sort of nourishing the clients. And then the neck, I've only got the head and neck because it was too big to fit everything on. So I've just got the head and neck, but the neck is, you know, it's so long and elegant, and there's all the different elements of the coaching elements that I use that are on the neck.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And can I just ask you, Mia, lucky last?
What symbols?
Symbol of your map, yeah.
Oh, a symbol of my map. Okay. No, I'm taking a whole journey, Uwe. Thank you. On symbols. You know, the symbols that come up in dreams, and how so much energy is held in those symbols, and how much it comes out when you work with a dream. And I suppose, you know, as we do our passion maps, we're dreaming whatever symbol it is that lives in us to come forth and show. So initially, my first passion map was a spiral, and
Mhm.
it didn't really come forth naturally because I was just starting to date Peter, and I wanted to impress him. So I had it all planned that I was going to have this very sophisticated spiral, and he was going to be very impressed with me, right? So anyway,
You made it.
I guess it kind of worked, but you know, it kind of you know, I didn't really have a real connection to the map. It was it was a way of perhaps impressing. I don't know. Peter can speak to that. But the second one was just an explosion, and I think it just was a no, not a danger, not a danger. It was like total firecracker, joyous
Joy.
fireworks, not firecracker, but fireworks.
Mhm.
And you know, the intense orange and red and the passion, you know, that the colors evoke for me, and you know, those moments of incredible energy that you get moment to moment in your life, where you know something just falls into place, and you think, wow. So it was, you know, quite a transition from, you know, the spiral that was, you know, totally premeditated to something that came forth intrinsically. And you know, I'm sure all of you feel the same. You know, when I look at that image, you know, I do, you know, feel that kind of inner explosion of life force, of energy, of joy. So yeah, it's not the danger, you know, that your symbol evokes, but on the other hand, it's I guess what we want in moments of our lives, you know, to be that spark, or maybe something stronger than the spark that moves us forward into something very, very joyous and something larger than ourselves. You know, that I think is really what I was hoping my passion map would bring me, you know, to connect with something that not only just reflected who I was, but reflected something that was larger than, you know, the day-to-day Mia. So there's my story.
Oh, fantastic story. I mean, when you first said explosion, I mean, apart from showing you the symbol there, what came to my mind is also the eruption of a volcano, because it's the creation of something new, but at the same time, it's very dangerous. You know, it also comes into, you know, when you think about things, yeah, brilliant, like firework and the eruption at Mount Etna. It looks different sometimes. Anyway, Sandy, you know, you come from a country which is also prone with many symbols because of the history of the country in Africa. Can you share your impressions about symbols, meanings for symbols you have?
Sure. So firstly, I do need to leave a little bit early, so just apologies for that. But before I share on the symbols, I really have loved this conversation this morning. It's just sparked so many things in my head and in my heart. So thank you for doing that. The symbolism, there is a lot of symbolism in Zim. It's around whether it's drawings and it's very culturally based. They're not really anything other than one particular symbol that I identify with. I think there's more in the real nature of symbolism, as in drawings and what you first showed. But I think the symbolism that really shows through there is who we are as people and what we stand for. I don't know if that makes sense, because I'm not sure that I can articulate it very well. So yeah, it's a difficult question for me to answer. I'm not sure that I can. But I will share for me what has always been a symbol, and I'd forgotten about it till I saw the email this morning, is a dragonfly. So the dragonfly, yeah, it's very much the symbol of transformation, of change, of hope, of self-realization as you mature, and that very much is where I'm at currently. So it was a really strong reminder for me this morning to bring that back into my life, because it's always meant something. And funny enough, a couple of weeks ago, something you never see ever. I've never, in 13 years of living here, I've never seen a dragonfly. And there was just hundreds of them just before I went home on outside my balcony. It was extraordinary. So
that's very strong.
It just mirror what I think it was mirror over what you were saying, is it mirror was what you were saying, where it just intrinsically came up for you. And I think that's what's happening again for me. So thank you for all of you for what you've shared this morning. It's been such a meaningful conversation for me this morning.
Very happy.
Could I just ask, are female dragonflies damselflies?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just wondered, the words, the dragon being masculine and the damsel. Maybe,
Right.
The dragon's all masculine. Aren't there feminine dragons or not?
I don't know, but it's interesting that what your story evoked in me.
It's so funny, Mia, when you said that, because you said damsfly, is that right? As in damsel.
Damsel.
And the kind of symbolism of damsel for me is this woman wanting to be rescued somewhere. And I'm like, no.
Dragon. We'll stick with the dragon.
Damsel in distress.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway.
Lovely. Yeah. Wonderful. That's amazing. I mean, the end of your of what you said, as before you left, there were hundreds of them on the balcony. That is really strong. That's extremely strong. I mean, goosebumps creating, obviously. So that's a very, very strong symbol for you, and you can take many things from it. Dragon.
Yeah.
Funny that Peter, you said dragon, they are only males, but they lay eggs.
I don't think they are. I was questioning Mia's masculine attribution to a dragonfly.
Yes.
We'll talk later.
But I just want to say very quickly, there've been extraordinary experiences of people's symbols just appearing as they're creating their maps.
Yes.
And when you're coaching, you've got to be very careful that animals don't come, because they tend to like to come and sit in the middle of the map. But I was working with a woman who, at one stage, she'd come over from Perth. I was in Sydney. Right in her map, she had this very rare dog that she'd been looking after. We're sitting in a park, because originally, before we went to Canada, everything was outside. Anyway, we're sitting in the middle of this big oval, and all of a sudden, this exact type of dog comes running across the oval, straight through the middle and over to the other side. And they're sort of thinking, wow, that's the magic that I'm talking about. It's a lot bigger than we are somehow. And also, I remember doing a training program and the woman came up with a butterfly. And a butterfly actually flew in a window, went around her 3 times, and then back out again. And we're all gobsmacked. In the US, you know, we couldn't, there was a group of 9 of us working out what we had, and it couldn't work out whether it was a bird or a person. And a big raven just came and sat in the tree above us. And then a dozen ravens came in and sat in, and then we said, it's got to be a raven. And then 12 flew off and left 1, and then we turned it into a raven, and when we'd finished, it went 2. And there were 9 of us just totally and utterly gobsmacked. That was our first big project overseas. So I have no idea how it works, but they find us more than we find them. And we used to not have images and symbols and within the passion mapping process, but it's gradually got more and more important in terms of providing meaning for people. That was your phrase, Sandy, that it's been meaningful for you. I think every map is, every symbol is so meaningful and provides a whole lot of different possibilities. And I was part of that sunflower group, 9 of us. And at one stage, someone put in an extra one to, in case of emergency, use this element. We created doing it online. And then when the sunflower happened, there was this leftover element. And we realized it was an insect that pollinated the sunflower.
Oh, I saw that.
And also another one that was when we were running like a bombora on couples, and we had, again, about 8 practitioners. And for the first time ever, I'd seen them break into 2 groups. And quite independently, one created a flower and one created a bee. And it was about, in the sense, when they brought them together, it was about pollination. Well, you know, if relationship's not about pollination, what's it about in a way? So, you know, for me, it's just that this whole symbolism is such a magical arena. And yeah, it's anyway, I'm ranting, but yeah, I think we just lost Sandy.
Yes, she sent a little
She's going,
message
yeah.
that she had to go early. Sig, what I understand is, well, you obviously had worked together with Peter, or you were Peter's coach 20 years ago, something like that. So
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, you must have a
It might be-
tremendous experience.
It might actually be more.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah. It's more than 20 years ago. Yeah.
Might be more. It was before I was doing passion mapping, I think.
Yeah. It was before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sig, do you have something to share with us, as you know, as far as symbols are concerned?
Yeah. Well, for me, the positive symbol for Australia is Uluru.
Uluru.
And Uluru, you know, I mean, that's the central anchor for the whole country.
Mhm.
I mean, it's magical that such a geological feature is actually there.
Yes.
And obviously a huge attractor for the Aborigines that would have been around there, discovered it maybe 60,000 years ago. And I actually have a painting of Uluru with thousands of hot air balloons lifting it out of the ground.
Oh,
And that is, for me, the inspiration of the Australian spirit.
Mm.
And the interesting story about that is that I actually won that at a Rotary meeting in a raffle in Brisbane, which was run by the Minister of Energy at that time. Right? And so I've got that. I've got it in my cabana, so I see it every day. So it actually reminds me of the resilience of the people that have been here. And the resilience of the people that we're called to be at the moment as well.
Mhm.
So that's the positive symbol for me. The for me, the fundamental symbol of all creation is the spiral. It's interesting, Mia, that you mentioned it, because for me, the spiral, if you look at it, galaxies are spiral galaxies, right? But if you look at, the spiral galaxy actually comes down to a point and then comes out the other way. That's not a normal galaxy, but that is actually the spiral. So you've got a positive energy coming in, goes to a 0 point, and then flows out again, right? And behind that is that I worked with a Russian physicist, which you may remember, Peter, Sergei Barsamian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he was the discoverer of the vortical field theory. So mathematically, he actually described this, which for me is an equation more important than what Einstein did with E equals mc squared. Right. So I'm trying to actually recreate his work at the moment. He passed away about 3 years ago. So anyways, for me, the positive symbol is a spiral.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that because my math was terrible in school and still not good. Physics, no good, but I love to read Hawkins. And,
Oh, really? Do you really? You like to read Hawkins?
I read it and I try to understand what I read.
That's interesting because there's a Hawkins study group here in Sydney.
Okay.
And we actually meet every month.
Okay.
And we've actually got a meeting on Microsoft Teams on Sunday. So that's what we do. I'm actually a fan of Hawkins because I think he's the most articulate spiritual teacher that expresses it in a sophisticated way. Yeah, anyway, so that's interesting, isn't it? No, it's fascinating.
And there's a lot of symbolism in that because it was an bombastic mind,
yes,
in a body in shambles.
Yes, exactly. He was such a small weakling,
yeah.
But honestly, if you haven't heard of Hawkins, he's absolutely fantastic. I mean,
You're talking about Stephen Hawking? Or
No, not
Stephen
Hawking.
Yeah.
No, Dave. No, I'm
Hawkins?
talking about. Oh, you're talking about Stephen Hawkins. Yeah, the physicist.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was a fan of his, but I'm actually a fan of David Hawkins.
David Hawkins. No, sorry, I didn't mean
okay.
David Hawkins.
No. Okay, sorry. When you said Hawkins, I thought you meant David Hawkins.
No,
yeah.
Sorry, my
pronunciation
was not exact.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, I mean, we come to a point where a lot of things come together. The spirals and I'm amazed when I hear this because, well, obviously you can imagine that my mind, I'm a visual person, I'm not a mathematical person. But when I see the spiral and what you say and going to one point where there is a 0, and that obviously is like a quantum, that really intrigues me because
so all energy flows in and flows out.
Yes.
You eat here and out it comes out the other end, you see?
Right. So the process in between.
A guy actually wrote about that and got a Nobel Prize for it, Ilya Prigozhin. Yeah.
Amazing. Another Russian.
A Russian, yeah. Prigozhin was a Russian. Well, Barsamian was an Armenian, but educated in Russia.
In Russia, obviously,
Yeah.
We're running out of time, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful discussion. Well, thank you so much. I got tons back on symbols from you. I'm really, how do I say that? I'm Well, here my English comes to a limit. I feel nourished myself now to go into a day full of symbols. I just want to share one symbol with you, which I carry here on this ring. It's the ring of my father. My father died with 54. And can you see? It's the symbol of the Freemasons.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Freemason. And then you have 3 little diamonds: wisdom, beauty, and strength. Those are the 3 symbols of, those are the 3 columns of the building, the philosophical building of the Freemasons. And I'm not a Freemason myself. I thought about it when I was younger, but I never felt right for it because I was traveling too much in the world to find my my place to be useful in that. Anyway, I carry this, and then I have a worldly symbol which I carry here. You see all these thingies here at my arm. This is from an organization for ocean, which collects plastic out of the ocean. And when you buy one of these, you have bought 1 pound of plastic being dragged from the ocean. So you do something good. And I have it with me every day, and I have 3 of them. And looking at the symbol makes me feel good because I did something about the ocean and the plastic in the ocean. A very tiny little thing, but there are millions of me who are doing the same thing. So another symbol
Wonderful.
which has a very positive effect on the environment. All right, Peter, back to you.
I just
Wonderful
want to say one thing about one of your comments early,
Yes.
and then we'll wind up. There's a lot of research going on now about how trees talk to each other and support each other, and the
Yes.
strong support the weak under the ground.
Yes, Dr. Peter Wohlleben does this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said you didn't know how to communicate, I mean, that's one of the ways they do.
Yes.
There may be others,
Yes.
but they support their own first, which is interesting too,
Yes.
their own species, but then they also support others. Quite
Yeah.
magical. Anyway, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming, and especially thank you, Eva, for a really
Thank you.
interesting,
Thank you.
really interesting talk.
Well,
And, thanks to everyone else for contributing. And this is a new format to highlight one of our key people. And it's always good to see you. So thanks, guys. And
Thank
we
you.
could have gone on for hours, but I don't think it's going to work at this time. Certainly not for me, but it's
we will do.
another time. Yeah, we'll have to do it at the next do something at the next Bombora, hopefully in Bali in September.
Oh, yeah, that would be lovely.
Maybe.
Let's see to
We'll
it.
see. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Take
you very
care.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
for
very
organizing
much.
the meeting.
Lovely to
Thank
see
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.